Hey, it's Rob the Builder. Welcome in. There we go.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Can you hear that, chat?
Feeling ready for this panel? It's about Lego, which I love. Is anyone here a Lego streamer as well, or builder? Yeah. Alright, so my name is Trash. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I'll be your host today. And let me just go through the slides real quick. There we go. We do have an ASL interpreter today here on the right. If you do need it, let me show hands. If not, they will be sitting at the back, and if you do need it later, just give us a shout, and then they'll come stand up at the front again. But yeah, let me introduce you to our wonderful panelists today, starting from...
Hello, my name is...
Mike? Yeah.
Hello, my name is More and More. Nope.
Oh, there you go.
Hello. I hear it. Got it. My name is More and More.
That wasn't enough hype.
Oh, yeah.
That was really weak.
Okay, that was a good practice for hello, my name is More and More.
Much better.
There it is. Thank you.
Much better. I am Zach M. Rutledge. I think I'm more. That's not fair.
He's the leader. That's fine.
That's fine.
I'm BrickBuilding.
Good morning, I'm Panfred Nudo.
And I'm Dr. Cat Builds.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for being here today. To start off, we're going to talk about their history with their Lego and how they started.
All right, I'll start it off. So, like many of us, I would say I got started in Lego as a child and loved every minute of it. And unfortunately, I'm one of the many, though, who had what was called the Dark Ages, where I just kind of stopped playing with Lego. And then as an adult, I started buying sets here and there. And then one day, I thought I'd buy an R2-D2 set when it got announced. And so I ended up buying that set and got really excited. And then I got the email that said you won't get it, it's on back order. So then I frowned a little bit, and then I went back to the Lego.com site and bought another set. Quick wait, I bought the Daily Bugle. It arrived like a week later, and then I built it on stream. And so that was the beginning of my adult Lego journey. I'm an adult fan of Lego. We call that AFOL for those aren't familiar. But we got a lot of AFOLs in the room, right? Yeah, a lot in chat too, I bet. That said, I started building Lego on stream, and that's kind of the beginning of my Lego journey as an adult, as well as being on Twitch as a Lego streamer. And then I actually met a lot of these fine people. Zach M. Rutledge being Zach M. Rutledge being one of them. Brick and Nick was the first that I discovered. Panfred Nudo and Dr. Cat, I met them all and got into this wonderful community. So I'm gonna pass it off to Zach here. Zach, what was your history with Lego and how it brought you into Twitch or streaming?
Well, when I was a kid, there was this wonderful marketing that Lego did where they had a kid named Zach the Lego Maniac. And so, of course, I was bullied as a kid for my love of Lego because I fit that same marketing term that they were using. And so I loved Lego as a kid. Didn't have a lot of money to buy bigger sets or anything like that. It was usually just giant buckets of loose bricks and things like that. But I ended up kind of falling into my dark age at that point, around 1999, I think, when I went out to spend my own money for the first time, really, to buy a Star Wars Lego set. I think it was the Pod Racer Lego set back then for episode 1. And then I realized how damn expensive it was, and I was like, how does anybody do this? So then I stopped. And it really wasn't until about 2010 that I started buying Lego again, and I used my newborn son as the excuse. Well, he's going to need this set when he gets older. My wife would say, well, why are you building it now, though? That's beside the point.
All right, I guess that's off to me.
Yeah.
I loved Lego from a very, very young age. I remember discovering the first building blocks I ever interacted with, like at my grandmother's house, and I just found I was kind of like naturally drawn to it. And luckily, they seemed to be interested in supporting it. So I remember I actually skipped school one day when I was a little kid, pretended I was sick, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Walmart, and they bought me a Lego set. That's my first Lego set, a little rescue truck. And that just carried on throughout my childhood. Star Wars, I think, played a big part of kind of keeping me in it. And I loved watching the VHS movies growing up with my parents. And then the sets started coming out with the new movies, and that was really exciting. And I luckily continued to hold on to that passion even into the time where a lot of people would slip into their dark ages. I discovered the online community on Flickr in particular, where a lot of AFOLs were sharing their amazing builds, and I found that really inspiring, and I wanted to explore kind of building my own things and seeing how far I could take that. So I held on to that all throughout like high school, university, and then weirdly I discovered Twitch actually through gaming. So I was really into Destiny, and I was looking for people to kind of play with and interact with, and I learned about a community around Destiny on Twitch, and I was very lucky that at that time Twitch was pushing creative as something people could do on Twitch, and I was like, wow, there's this huge platform I'd never heard of, and they're really interested in creative. There's got to be a Lego community on here like there would be on YouTube or on Instagram or on Flickr, and I was really surprised that there was almost no Lego content in existence. I think I found one stream of a guy building a Minecraft set, and I was like, well, this could be a cool thing. Maybe I could start streaming some Lego building and see how people find that. And luckily, some other people started around the same time, and the community has certainly flourished. I mean, we're doing a panel at TwitchCon now. I'm like, that's kind of how I fell into it. I'm sure we'll get into more of some of that.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna note Nick, definitely one of the first, and he's gonna be a very humble about it because he always is, but I would like to recognize him as one of the first on Twitch. He pioneered a lot of what we do on Twitch today. It's like we'll get right into it, but man, this guy's also a Lego master. Fred, how'd you get started, man?
Absolutely. One of my earliest memories playing with toys was Duplo blocks and playing with Duplo. And you know, going to the store, going to a Target or a Toys R Us, picking out, you know, a Ninja Turtle, and be like, "Can I get this, Mom?" It's like, "No." And then going over to the Lego aisle, and because it was an educational toy, you know, that would help maybe create architecture, creative, you know, thinking. That was what they were willing to get. So it was always like, well, if you're not gonna get Captain Planet, you know, if I'm not gonna get Captain Planet today, I'm gonna get a Lego set. So it definitely came from loose bricks, a couple sets here and there, but it was mostly kind of mock building or my own creation as a young child. And I entered my dark ages with a bang, where I had a whole city and castle set up, and I went to go hang out with friends. It was sometime in middle school. And little cousins came over without me knowing. They go into the Lego collection and destroy the whole thing. And I was like, all right, well, I'm done with Lego now. It's not that cool. But in adulthood, was more interested in collecting minifigs. So different IPs, especially Star Wars, and growing up loving Star Wars, collecting minifigs, and eventually getting into sets and spending more money with adult money. Getting those, and it wasn't until lockdown. I started during lockdown, you know, buying more Lego, and I know a lot of people did the same. A lot of the Lego aisles were empty because of the fact. But starting on Twitch then too, and getting full into that, looking for community and building community, and that was what really drove me to continue to do that on Twitch and share my love of Lego with really a lot of other people who really enjoy me following instructions on the internet. So, so that's where it all started. Yeah, let's hear it.
I've kind of joked that I never really had a dark age, only because I feel like I never really had a defining moment when I was a kid. I always loved Lego, and I'll even admit I played with Connects a lot as a kid too.
What?
I know.
You played with what? I'm just
Lego.
There we go. Keep going.
And I think it was just one of those things. It's not that I couldn't have asked for them. Like, I had a lot of different STEM toys when I was younger, you know, but there was always just something else I wanted to do. And then my brother came along. He's 11 years younger than me, and I have a sister who's a year and a half younger. And so once he started getting a little bit older, it tended to be for holidays or birthdays, he would get the Lego set, but then we'd all build it together. But really, one of the other big Lego things in our family was we loved playing the Lego video games. Like, my mom yelling at Batman to keep up with her during some of the levels is like forever ingrained. And my sister and I were always the completionists, and then thank goodness in some of the later games they finally let your minifigures split because my brother would just take off for the end. And so those were always like, you know, we'd play those games every time they came out, and we always had so much fun. And that was kind of what got me into Lego as an adult. Was my husband was a food and drink streamer, and then I decided I wanted to try it for myself, but like Nick started with the gaming aspect. And I had just graduated with my doctorate of physical therapy at the time, and the big Hogwarts castle came out. And I said, Kat, you just graduated, you just got your first adult job, you cannot go out and buy this right away. So I waited about 6 months to buy it, because the community was like, well, you're playing the Lego Harry Potter game, you gotta get Hogwarts. And now it's just, if my husband was here, he would say, he's sleeping right now, so. But like, our apartment is probably half Lego at this point, and it's just snowballed into this wonderful thing. But yeah,
Amazing.
That's my unorthodox journey into Lego, I guess.
Amazing. And all of us have very unorthodox. So we all do brick building. We do Lego on stream. Now, how is that different than a traditional stream that you would expect here on Twitch? What's that like for any of you?
I mean, I think, like you said, that with the instructions, so when I first got going, I actually had the instructions up on screen as well, especially if I was doing something more complex, because it's, you know, you've got to keep things engaging, but I feel like building a Lego set takes a lot more brain power sometimes than playing a game. You know, you can kind of get into that motor memory when you're playing a game, whereas with a Lego build, especially if you're building something more technical, like, sometimes you're like, hang on guys, I gotta like figure out what I'm doing. I might be silent for about 30 seconds. hang in there with me.
I don't know about you, but to me, I often will be following the instruction, but I'll be talking to chat, and then I'll look at the build and realize that I totally messed it up somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I
Skip several steps.
I skipped a step, or I put a piece in the wrong place, or it's backwards. So yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think most of us have like error counters at this point. How many times do you have to use a brick separator? How many times have you lost a piece on the floor?
Yeah.
How many times have you broken a brown brick?
Yeah.
Just from a technology standpoint, though, I mean, a Lego or just a maker and crafter stream, right, typically takes more technology than your typical video game.
Yeah, we actually have this picture of our different setups, and our different setups tend to be very different than your usual stream. At the very least, there is generally multiple cameras, right? Because you want your face on the stream, you also want a camera on the Lego, and so we're looking at Zach's setup here. And for one thing, you have a massive desk and a whole freaking TV, which is amazing. But I want to call attention to the fact that, like many of us, you got a camera pointing down, so that's a little different than most streams. And like Zach said, makers and crafters, right? So for those that don't know, a lot of us stream to the makers and crafters category because there isn't a Lego build category. I just want to put that out there.
Trash.
Just saying. Just saying. I'll just get a Lego brick building. Anyway, but yeah, any other thoughts on like your setup as a streamer, how it's different? This is Brick and Nick's setup here, which is just amazing. Any comment on that?
I'll just throw out like one thing I like. I actually really like standing while building. I find it really comfortable. It allows me to build for longer periods of time without getting tired. Everybody's got their preference on that though. And then I just focus on like having kind of my whole space within camera view. So you can see like I have a large area behind me so that when I walk around to grab pieces, because I do a lot of mock building or custom builds, I can still kind of shout at them from a distance and have them kind of follow along with like what my process is. So that's kind of a part of my setup there.
Sure. I will add though, I know that these two particular setups can be intimidating, be like, well, in order for me to be successful, I have to have this elaborate setup. But I will say that I started with my phone, and your phone is probably a better camera than a lot of webcams out there anyway. And so you don't have to have an elaborate, you can have an elaborate setup for to be successful and to grow your community and to build Lego on stream. You can start with your camera. You don't even have to show your face sometimes. They'll show your pretty nice manicured nails and show that. Whilst you build your Lego. And so I will point that out, and I started with that. Eventually, you like most streams, you do
evolve over time.
Yeah, over time evolve. But yeah, the 2 camera setup, having the instructions on the screen, the set that you're building. Everybody comes in with the first question is, "Hey, what are you building?" And to have multiple indicators that show this is what it's going to end up looking like. Sure, it doesn't look like a whole lot now. It's just a bunch of bricks, but this is what it will end up looking like. So it doesn't have to be elaborate as long as you're having fun doing it. A lot of people pick up on that for sure.
Yeah, I throw out my first stream setup was I had one of those like bunk beds with a desk underneath, and I grabbed like one webcam that I had, and then I found like an old one that my dad had, and I hung it like under the like metal bottom of the bunk bed, and that was like my top-down cam setup. So you really don't need a lot to kind of get started and get going.
No, use what you got. You can't look at a setup like my background is television. You know what I mean? Like that was my job before Twitch. And you can't look at somebody's setup like that and say, this is the norm, because it's not.
It doesn't have to be. And also, I mean, looking at both of those setups that are pictured, those evolved over time. Like, Nick pointed out, he started pretty.
This is like 5 or 6 years in.
Well, and it's 2 completely different types of setups too. Where you do that mock building, you have that space, like you said, that you walk around with. Mine is almost kind of dual purpose, because there is still some video game play that goes on from time to time, along with the Lego building, right? So it has to be a multi-purpose area where yours is specifically focused on the build side of things.
And I would add, if you're gonna start somewhere, because like Fred, my husband started, we had a phone and a tripod in our kitchen cabinet. My first streaming setup was our table in our living room on his laptop, and I stole one of his webcams. But I would say, if you're gonna get something, get some lighting, and it doesn't have to be super fancy lighting, although if some of these lighting companies want to sponsor more of us makers and crafters, that's always great. But I think we found like a $30 kind of photography light, and that can make kind of a crummy webcam make it so much better. So that was for me how I started upgrading my setup, because my space is only about this big. I'm on a small desk in the corner of our living room in our apartment now. But by utilizing a lot more light, I can make what I have work for me a lot better. So that's kind of my biggest recommendation, is that you can make it work from a small space, but I start with the lighting, and because that'll make a really big difference.
100%. Always start with what you have and then just build on from
it. Absolutely.
In streaming in general.
Yeah.
So from there, creating content as a brick builder, how do you find it?
Yeah, so creating content as a brick builder is definitely different in that there's so many vectors that you can take, right? We talk a lot about building sets. I think that's kind of like the bread and butter of what a lot of us do, but some of us are mockers or, my own creations. So Nick has referenced that a couple of times. So he creates content around building just whatever comes out.
Custom builds. And I do say that would like change the flow of a stream a little bit, and not going into like when you're working on a really technical build, I'm often like figuring out what I'm doing as I'm streaming. So that means it's very hard to carry a conversation while also like putting your brain to the task of like figuring out something new and creative and engineering that. So my stream is luckily very understanding of, I would say sometimes up to 30 minutes of more quiet time than 30 seconds. But it's just a different flow in your stream, in a stream with Lego, and that like, I think it's more, it's sometimes actually less about the Lego itself and more about things around Lego. Like, I think showing that you're passionate about something as nerdy or geeky as Lego lets people kind of let their creative side out. So it's just really great to engage in all of the things that we're passionate about while we're doing this fun thing with Lego.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can all agree that while we're doing whatever form of building, there's this component of chat interaction where we're talking to chat, we're really focused on, it's very much, yes, there's Lego, but a lot of them feel like a just chatting stream to some degree, or some of them are very full of like chaos and things like that, where there's a ton of noise that can literally take over the stream. That said, any other thoughts? We actually have a picture pulled up of some of Nick's creations here. And yeah, it's pretty impressive. But creating content as someone in the brick building community, I think we can all speak that there's different ways that we approach it. We all do something a little differently. That's one thing that I love about the Lego community on Twitch, is that there's so many different ways that we approach it. There's always different flavors. Of course, there's different types of Lego that can be built in terms of all the themes, like if you're a Star Wars fan or Harry Potter fan, or just someone who wants to watch someone build something from scratch. Yeah, any other thoughts on that?
When did you start incorporating mock building into your...
Yeah, my first stream was actually...
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just right off the get-go.
Yeah, I feel like the different, like you touched on themes, and I feel like, particular themes kind of bring people in, right? There's Marvel fans out there, there's Star Wars fans out there, there's Minecraft fans out there, and then they come into somebody building a Minecraft set, like, oh, I didn't even know Minecraft Lego even existed. But we always say, and what always ends up happening is they come in for the Lego, but they stay for the community.
Yeah.
And so while we're not necessarily building, or while we're not necessarily playing a game, at least for me, I found it easier for me to converse with my community when I can take a break and put the bricks down for a little bit and get into a conversation about, not even something about the set. I mean, we talk about food. Let's face it. Most streams, go and funnel into talking about food from different places. It's because of Twitch. I am addicted to Canada's coffee crisp, and so. But what's fun too is being an RLFM, or Recognized Lego Fan Media.
Right.
We get to bring in sets before they're released to the general public sometimes, and even introduce that to people on Twitch. Like, hey, Star Wars Lego has a such and such set has a Venator coming out that's 5,000 pieces. Like, yeah, it's coming out in a couple of weeks. If you want, you come watch me build it and see if it's worth your $650, or whatever it is. So that's really fun, a really fun thing, a really great opportunity because of the community that have that opportunity to do that, and obviously bring in a lot of Star Wars fans and Clone Wars fans who are all about that. So the theme brings them in, but then the conversation and the wonderful chat and the community definitely keeps them coming back.
Yeah, it's kind of like how certain games will bring in particular communities and viewers to certain channels. It's kind of the same deal within the Lego community. You'll often find someone who is a fan of Star Wars or Marvel, and they'll see that you're building one of those sets. And then to touch on what Fred brought up about the RLFMs, the representatives who get some of these sets early, like Kat as well, and Nick, I was gonna say, it's like, oh, here it is, isn't it? Not me. That said, you get to see those sets a little early, and you get to get a first peek of it live and get their actual reaction to the set, and they can answer questions in real time, which is a real cool thing about Twitch, right? So.
Yeah, I think that's been one of my favorite things about Twitch, is it's so much more authentic, because you are getting those genuine live reactions to building. I know at least for my channel, I kind of think of myself as like a cozy oddball, so it's more, because I work in a hospital system, I worked all through the pandemic, so when I go to Twitch, I'm kind of looking for that cozier, I just want to take a breath and relax. So my husband usually joked about our streams just being have like a dinner party with friends, and it's like, yeah, we're doing something, but it's more we're just hanging out with people that we really enjoy being around. And then you mentioned the food. It's been really fun. When I started streaming, we started seeing a lot more. You know, I had a lot of friends come into my community from the food and drink, and then all of a sudden that kind of split off into like the music community. So you're kind of getting all these different creative groups, because we all kind of at the base, like we have a thing like that we like doing that is creative. And so it's been really fun to see, especially over the past, I think 4 years now that I've been doing this, see how that influence, how you see it in all these different areas on Twitch, and you start seeing other folks. Like that was how I got my introduction, was through Nick. Was I found him, he was doing, it was a gaming and Lego collaboration, and I had just done my first stream of the Hogwarts castle, and he's like, oh no, there's a brick building community, like you should totally be a part of it. And that's when I flipped from doing gaming to creative, and I found it just so much more enjoyable for me, because I'm like, this is what I really like doing. And then you kind of bring in the community that you emulate, and this community is just fantastic. And yeah, but it's been really cool to see how it's kind of grown and shaped some of the other parts of Twitch too.
Yeah, let's talk about engaging the community and what that's like. We touched on how we have various conversations with the people in our chat. What other ways do you like to engage the people out in your community? What kind of things do you like to do when you're building Lego, and how do you interact with your chat?
Yeah, kind of building on to what Kat said, I think one of the things that's wonderful about the brick building community is that we all build off of each other.
Yeah.
So we're very happy to take inspiration and let people kind of borrow ideas from each other, and I think that's how kind of all of our communities have grown in different ways and expanded. I like to think of the community as like, you know, a rising tide lifts all ships, and that like we're all kind of seeing little things and learning and making the most of it. And if something's successful for one person in engaging their community, chances are that's going to be helpful in them engaging their own newer community as well.
Right.
So I know there's lots of cool things that we all do that I'm sure you guys can all talk about that help us engage our communities.
Yeah.
Even outside of Twitch, using things like Discord and stuff like that to just bring communities, give them a hub to hang out. We like seeing what they're building. We like seeing what they're buying out there.
Right.
Getting an opportunity to know that you influence them just a little bit to go ahead and pull the trigger on this set or that set. It's kind of cool,
You enabled them,
Yeah,
perhaps.
the old hear me out. I think you really need this set because is neat, and they enjoy. They end up really enjoying it, and honestly feeling better about it after they
Yeah.
that set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we encourage each other just to be your genuine, really geeky self. If you're really geeky about something, chances are you're gonna find one of us being just as geeky or even geekier, sometimes on things, and encouraging that. Like, you have a space to be as geeky. No one's gonna be like, you're really geeky. It's like, no, I want to hear what you have to say about what we're talking about. And so I think when it comes to this community, we're also very comfortable to just geek out with each other and not be afraid to hide that we love Lego. Sometimes you're on the workplace, maybe you're just a closet Lego fan. Tell your coworkers like, hey, I have like a $900 set sitting in my room or whatever it is. But then you come onto Twitch, and it's in the background of your stream setup, and the people that come in are like, dude, that is rad. And to find a community that is passionate about the stuff that you're passionate about, and not be afraid to share it with people, and have people come in and comment and be like, I wish I had that set, tell me more about how that went, how that build process went. And that's, I feel like, something that's really fun about this community, that we just encourage, people to be unapologetically geeky, unapologetically themselves. And if you want to come in here and talk about Lego all the live long day, come on in, let's chat, pull up a chair, let's do it,
Definitely.
Excellent. Well, I just want to also heads up for the last 15 minutes of the panel, it's a Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions they would like to ask, feel free to think of some now, and then we'll hop into that in a moment.
Get ready in about 15 minutes. We've been talking about what it means to make Lego content, reach out to our communities, and engage them. I'm sure, and I think all of us have been doing this for years at this point. And so this is a good opportunity to talk about some challenges and highlights that we've had over the years. One highlight I want to put out there really quickly is the BrickBuilding Community gets together. This is our second year that we did Stand Up to Cancer charity fundraising, and as a team, we raised over $77,000 for Stand Up to Cancer. And that's just that charity. We've all done other charities over the years. There's various other ones out there, but that's one of the ones we come together as a community, all members of the team who are interested. We get on a Discord and we get organized, and I want to say I'm proud of that, to raise that much money. That's incredible. So there's a lot of charity streaming that goes on within the community, and that's one of the highlights for me, to know that we can give to different places that need that help. But any other call outs or highlights you all want to talk about really quick?
I would say like an obvious challenge is that I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that Lego on Twitch is a thing. And even though we've been going at it for, I guess, 8 years now, trying to get the word out, people are still discovering every day that it's a thing. So we're always trying to look for different ways to kind of highlight that. Obviously, being able to do this panel is an incredible thing. I was lucky that with some of the other early Lego streamers like Set to Build, we were able to kind of get some stuff going with TwitchCon. We've actually been doing events there since TwitchCon 2017. So if you guys didn't see, there's actually a Lego booth here at TwitchCon where you can come and hang out and do some building. And we've been very lucky to kind of bring some Lego fun to every TwitchCon, and that's been a cool way to kind of open things up. But I know we're definitely looking forward to hopefully someday having our own category as a way to really show, hey, like this is the thing that people are doing on the regular. And it doesn't make it as confusing, I think, for people who like might be discovering Lego for the first time, but are like, all right, where do I go on Twitch to share my interest in Lego building? Because I think that's a common thing where I'll find people just chatting, or maybe in a Lego game category, and they're building a set, and it's like, well, actually, like makers and crafting is kind of the right place, but maybe also art if you're doing creative with Lego. And so it would just be like one of the things that you should kind of expect to run into is that people are unfamiliar with the concept of Lego.
Yeah, that's a great call out, that it is, because there's not really a central place where you can find Lego or brick building as a category. You'll find a lot of us in makers and crafting or art, or just chatting with the tag of Lego or the tag of brick building. That's usually how you can find us. So if you are someone who wants to find these streams, that's how you can find us, as well as searching for the tags as well. Any other thoughts on challenges or highlights?
Yeah, I'll say, at least for me, I feel like it's fair to say I was one of the first women Lego builders on Twitch. I think when I started 4 years ago, there were maybe 3 or 4 of us who streamed regularly, and I think, as far as I know, I'm the first openly queer person to stream as well. So those are 2 like little niches. And so that's always, like Fred was saying, like really letting the community be their authentic self and creating a comfortable and safe environment for folks to come in. I think that's something I know the community has done, but that's also just a personal passion of mine. With what I do with healthcare and just my personality, advocacy is really strong. And so I think that has also been an exciting thing to see, because I've had a few folks come in and be like, wow, this is awesome, I love what you're doing. I've had another builder at a convention being like, I'm so glad my daughter has you as a role model. And that was one of like the most touching things I think I could have ever heard. So I think that's been a really cool thing to just, again, make sure that we're staying inclusive and welcoming. And it's been so great to see how that has progressed over the past couple years within our community, seeing a lot more women, seeing a lot more queer builders as well. And I think that's kind of what helped me become the recognized Lego fan media. So highlights for me personally, I got to meet almost everybody on this panel at Star Wars Celebration. So I got to be the host of the Lego booth at Star Wars Celebration last year, and then I've also gotten to travel to Denmark and meet designers and things like that. But it's all just from trying to be my authentic self, but there have been some challenges because even still there's a lot of toxicity in the Lego community, but I think our brick building community here on Twitch does a wonderful job at really combating some of those stereotypes, some of those ingrained toxic thoughts to be like, no, that's not what Lego's for anybody. Like, everybody's welcome here, come on in, leave all that at the door.
As a queer creator, I'm so proud. Yeah. Moving on, this will be the last slide before Q&A. Yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so we've been doing this for a while, Lego content. We kind of understand where it's at right now, but where do you think this is headed with brick building on Twitch, content creation in general? Where do you think all of this is headed? What do you think it looks like? Oh, I finally stumped
Honestly, I wanted to hear from Nick on this because he's been an OG and he's seen it evolve.
Very true.
For these 8 years.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, it's dramatically different.
I would agree. I do think when the Lego community kind of first started, it was, I would say, a little more introvert, maybe, would be kind of the way to describe it, and I think people were kind of dipping their toes into, sharing the nerdy part of themselves, like Fred was talking about. Like, it was a little more nerve-wracking. Obviously, Twitch was known for gaming, and maybe things that are a little more louder and just like more exciting, where it's like, you don't come into a Twitch stream to expect like crazy plays kind of happening, like a lot of insane things don't kind of take place. There's not as many clippable moments from a Lego stream. But the nice thing I think that we have seen is that has evolved a lot, and people have gotten really, really creative. And I think of these two guys immediately when I think of how people have gotten creative with really making something that's supposed to be, or like not supposed to be, but can be very like kind of chill, relaxed, like harder to make as exciting or upbeat. And these guys have done so much to like enhance the way you can watch a stream and interact with it. And I think it's just been really, really cool to see that evolution, and just like, watching themselves just have so much fun makes you want to go out and do that as well. And so I think it's been more and more inspiring, and we've been seeing more and more people kind of taking the leap of faith and trying to do something different with like Lego building on Twitch. So yeah, did you guys want to talk about, like, I was trying to push you to talk about it earlier. Like, tell them what do you guys do that makes streams exciting?
In terms of this hype, what do you guys do on your own streams?
Sure. I think people are alluding to the Nudo dance, which is basically a dance party in the middle of building a Lego set. At its core, that's what it is. Obviously, there's the lights and the silly moves and me twerking a little bit, but it's me having fun. It's me having. It's me genuinely being me, and just doing that in the comfort of clearly my own home, but also doing it in the comfort of people that are that love it. Like, hey, I mean, I don't see you, but I'm almost certain you're twerking with me. Let's face it. But yeah, things like that. More just chat interaction, little things that pop up. Obviously, little commands where if you also think that what I just built was pretty cool, you type in a command and boom, you can also be like, wow, just like what I would probably say. But as far as kind of diversifying the content, I think that's where it's headed. That because Lego is appealing to such a diverse group of people. It's just like Twitch is. There's so many different types of people that are out there, but because there are just so many different types of people that Lego can connect to, that I feel like that's where it's headed. It's grown because people have recognized that there are so many different types of people that enjoy Lego, and that you will eventually find a creator that you feel connected to, because it's just so diverse, and it's becoming more and more diverse, where you feel safe, you feel comfortable, where you can geek out, where you can get up and twerk, even though there's nobody technically standing next to you, or whatever it is. So I think just people genuinely letting themselves be themselves kind of leads to that. Yeah.
The word's out that the Lego community is a cool club to be a part of. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing established video game content creators diving into Lego building, and not just one-off, like building sets on a regular basis now.
It's becoming a part of their content.
It's becoming a part of their content,
Right.
because everybody loves Lego.
Yeah.
And it's a fun hobby to get into. Obviously, it's an expensive hobby, or it can be an expensive hobby to get into. But boy, the second they get a set, like that's what they want to do. They now want to turn it on a Twitch stream instead of streaming their favorite video game that day. They're gonna build a set today, and that just shows that the word's out, that it's getting out there, that it is a cool club to be a part of. And it's a testament to people like Nick, who kind of paved the way, and then people like Fred, who twerk like no business, and show that we can go.
That's why I stayed.
Right. We can go from a chill, cozy vibe in a second to a dance party and back again. Happens
All the time.
and it's wild.
My hand right now.
Right. If I had my tearaway pants.
Okay. Next time.
And that's a testament to the community and the people in it.
Absolutely. I agree. I see the same patterns as you. There are a lot of content creators out there, even established ones with pretty big communities, that are like, I'm going to build a Lego set today. And then I remember thinking, like you even called out, not a one-off. It became a regular thing where this person that I used to follow, based on the fact that they did video games, which is awesome, also started doing Lego on a regular basis. And I'm seeing more and more of it on Twitch. I even find them in, like Nick called out earlier, like the Lego game category, right? Where it's kind of like, okay, it makes sense because there's nowhere that they can find it, or if you search for Lego, then maybe you'll see it. And then I'll roll in there and be like, hey, there's tags you could use. But I'm starting to see it in all these other communities that are known for other things. And also a shout out to the makers and crafting communities in general, because we love a lot of the people who aren't necessarily brick builders, but are knitters, crocheters, or gun club builders, things like that. We have great relationships within that side of the community. And so I feel like we're going to see more of it in your regular video game stream. You're gonna see it in other places. My personal thought is it's just gonna kind of keep going, especially with the fact that Lego is trying to appeal to more types of people, right? We're starting to see sets that kind of break into other fandoms that we haven't yet seen. And as well as like their whole, line, like the Concorde, right? Like, hey, do you like really cool looking planes? Here's a big one that you can build. So I think that Lego's marketing and their product direction is also going to bring more people into the space.
Botanicals is one of my
Botanicals.
favorites to get. I've gotten like 10 of my coworkers into Lego building, and like the succulents is always one of my go-to because it's a great price point. It's a phenomenal build. You can display it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they start one, then they're like, well, I got this one and that one.
Yeah. And these are plants that won't die on you.
Yep.
That is definitely me.
There are a large number of streams like I've stumbled upon where they're building a botanical set, and it's their first time doing a Lego stream, and it's like such a fun and wonderful thing to see that Lego has found kind of the right thing to make them want to bridge their content into something different.
Yeah. It feels like the future is bright in terms of Lego fans and seeing it on places like Twitch, as well as all the other platforms. I know that there was a time when I started a couple years ago that was sometimes hard to just find someone building Lego, looking through all the different ways that you can find someone. And nowadays, you're hard pressed not to find someone. I can always find someone building Lego or talking about Lego. We have shout out to the local brick shop who does a lot of Lego news, who's also streaming this. So hey buddy, thank you. There's like these other aspects within the hobby that I think we have yet to touch, and I feel like we're going to start seeing more of it. Case in point, maybe a talk show or a podcast that talks more about Lego. Maybe, you never know. But there's all kinds of things out there that I'm proud to say that the Twitch BrickBuilding community is creating a opportunities for content.
And the Lego company recognizes it. Clearly, they wouldn't have recognized Lego fan media that are regularly streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
The company itself knows that this is a market and that there are Twitch viewers and streamers who are passionate about Lego. Otherwise, they wouldn't have us RLFM who regularly stream on Twitch. So the future is bright. I could imagine there'll be more RLFM popping up on Twitch. That there will be more sets to display and show and debut on Twitch.
And it's fun too, because I feel like we've been able to recruit other content creators, other of these fan media who might be on, YouTube, TikTok, other places, and now we're starting to come on over to our side. And there's probably at least like 5 or 6 that I can think of immediately that are now starting to stream on Twitch more regularly, which is super cool. Just to keep growing the community even bigger, but also again say, hey, we do some really cool stuff here, and you can go to other places to see Lego content.
Definitely, because I only just built my first set last year because of Twitch, because I found like people building it more and more, and then now I built 3 on stream, and I'm very proud, but I need money. Also, which comes to the Q&A section. Everyone, thank you so much for listening so far. I hope you all enjoyed that. If anyone has any questions, we have microphones on the left and in the middle. And thank you. We'll start with this gentleman over here.
So, yeah, it's taller than me, isn't it? Hello? Is that better?
Nope. I don't hear it.
No.
Just repeat the question, maybe. I don't have a problem broadcasting myself.
Oh, there we
there we go.
There you go. I've been building Legos on and off, basically just the elite sets. So if it's a sticker price over 500, so I'll build it on stream, and it seems to be a very popular thing on my stream. About 9 months ago, I was trying to get into the exclusive BrickBuilding Discord, and they were wanting me to do things that were way outside of what I was expecting. So I'd like to talk to you guys outside of this to see if there's something that I might have misinterpreted. But for me, Lego building is a one-off. I'll do it 1 set a quarter, maybe 2 sets a quarter, depending on how many come out that one appeal to me and appeal to my audience, as well as merge with all my gaming content, because that's where I just started. And I was like, well, I need to variety myself, because I was like, I like doing this, I like doing this, but I'm getting burned out with just one content type. And so it's like I moved into programming, I moved into this. I got myself the Lego pie hat piece, so I can actually attach it to my pie and put it into my Legos and do all sorts of wonderful things. So yeah, I don't know, the question I guess would be like, is it possible to make it a little bit easier to try to get into these Lego communities? Because it feels a little bit, you guys feel more exclusive than, just like the one-offs, right? Because we're not doing it on a regular basis. We're not just Legos.
Right. This is a great question. So for those who didn't hear it, is how can I get more involved in the Lego community? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So we actually have a BrickBuilding Discord, which if you go to our booth, we have links up everywhere. But we accept anyone, like in terms of if you build Lego, if that's part of your content, you're welcome. You're welcome to join us. So we definitely try to be as open and inclusive as possible. And definitely you can hit us up after this. We can point you to all the right places where you can get plugged into the community.
Yeah, because 9.5 dropped me into Amish's stream one night.
Yeah,
and,
great.
I was like, okay, cool. And then somebody said, hey, do you build Legos? You should check out this.
Yeah, and a lot of us who are involved with the community have links to this page up, where we have a Discord where you can connect with everyone else in the community who watches or streams Lego.
Yeah, and just quickly, I think you may also potentially be touching on the BrickBuilding team on Twitch in particular. And I think the reason we may have a little bit more restriction in just making sure that if someone's coming to the BrickBuilding team page, they're going to find a streamer mostly doing Lego building, but that is not a reason for you to not be part of the broader community.
Right, and I might have gotten into a place where that was it, and I was just
Right.
as the general audience.
always one, right?
And although we have been working over the last few months, in particular, my friend Sentibuild, who's one of the founders of the BrickBuilding Community, has been working really hard on cleaning up the Discord because we had made a lot of that stuff like 5 or 6 years ago and are updating it. So I think things will be a lot clearer now for anyone who goes to take a look.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And yeah, so like the greater community, totally welcome to join the Discord and hang out. And actually, it's BrickBuilding.community is a website that will take you to all this other stuff. There is the community Discord itself, and then there's the team. The team does have some slighter restrictions in terms of like how much Lego is on your content. But that said, you can always join the community Discord itself and be plugged right in and hang out with us and connect with everyone.
You do not have to be a streamer to go in there. Like
Yeah,
you
you
can
do
collect
not have
minifigures, you can just love Lego and never actually build anything, but if you're enthusiastic about anything and everything Lego, join the BrickBuilding Discord.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got one in the middle here.
Yep, kind of more fun question, I think. Do any of you have any, like a holy grail set that you really wanted as a kid, never got, still would love to get it? And kind of as a follow-up on that, do any of you like build vintage sets on stream ever?
I want Voltron.
Voltron, yeah.
And it's pretty simple. I missed out on that one, and I really, really want it.
Same.
I just got mine earlier this year, so I got in after Ninjago City was a thing. So I came in right about when the Gardens came out. And at a convention in Portland, Oregon earlier this year, there was a retailer who had it for a reasonable price and no sales tax, and I didn't have to ship it. So I said, yep, I'm gonna get that.
So I was going to point out, mine is actually there was this old space monorail they sold back in the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Monorail sounds expensive.
It was always too expensive for my poor family, and I still don't have it. I would love to get it.
You're gonna have a tough time because monorails is like a reoccurring topic in the Lego community. And people have been begging Lego to re-release a monorail set. They have not caved on it.
I haven't even looked on eBay because I'm afraid to see what those prices are. And I'm a vintage computer collector and repairer, so I already know what it's like to spend, to look at computers that are hundreds of thousands of dollars and think, yeah, eventually.
And to answer your question, there are a few people that do build some classic, especially classic space. Scotty Rotten is one in the community that will build some classic space from time to time. So just again, poke around in that brick building community team, and you'll start finding some of these people.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we got one on the left. Yeah.
Hello. I just wanted to say thank you. So when I started going on Twitch as a viewer, it was 3 years ago, and one of the first streams I hopped in wasn't a video game, it was actually Brick and Nick, and someone gifted me a sub, and you stocked everything, and you said, oh my goodness, so nice to meet you, thank you for being here, and you wrote my name on a brick, and you put it somewhere I can't really remember.
It's a big heart. It's a big heart there.
Okay. And that was like my first time on Twitch, and I was so shocked. I couldn't believe that someone on the internet was talking to me. I was like, what is this platform? Like, can they hear me? Like, if I turn, can they hear me? Like, I didn't really know what was happening, but I just remember feeling so welcome and like just like a part of something. And I don't even build Lego, and I felt like I need to belong here. And so ever since then, like now I'm a fellow streamer for a different smaller community, and you kind of like led the example of how we should treat viewers, because it might be their first time ever on Twitch, and I have actually had people say, if I say something out loud, can you hear me? So thank you for being such a kind community, and I haven't felt like I've had a toxic time in your community. It's been very wholesome for me, and I love just hanging out.
Aww.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and I think that's something everybody here thinking about doing Lego content, really, like you can be the person that has that impact on someone, and I think that's kind of a driving force for all of us, is that we get to hear stories like that, and that continues to be an inspiration to drive us to keep, innovating and doing more and getting the word out on how amazing the Lego community is.
All right, we got one in the middle.
Hi everybody, some of you guys know me, some of you guys don't. About 8 months ago, I found the Lego community through my game that I play randomly. Turns out the guy was local, and very local to me, and it was kind of cool. I went through a huge dark period where I gave away every piece of Lego I have when I was 12 years old to my old babysitter, because, well, I wasn't going to go to her anymore, and I don't really play with Lego much anymore. My biggest thing is I did build a set, literally this year, the first time in like 13 years, and it was very, very, very fun. But I don't like following instructions. I hate instructions. And so a lot of you guys talk about instructions, building sets, and they're expensive. And it's not always something that interests me, but it does. But I'm focused on how would you build like your own personal creations on stream, and how would you work that in? And like, do you have any ideas to help me do that? Because I want to take what I do on stream and use Lego, because Lego is so fun. It's such an interactive. I already play an interactive game on stream, so I already have the community for that. But the Lego community is so awesome and nice. So taking my own creations, because I love building, here's a pile of pieces, let's build something.
I think I can help on that one a little bit. That's definitely been my wheelhouse for my entire time on Twitch. A couple ideas are, if you don't have a huge collection, but you want to start exploring how to get more creative with Lego, there is great digital software that you can use to do building. And there are a lot of streamers who actually regularly use BrickBuilding Studio is the software name. So that's a great place to kind of start exploring, getting creative with Lego without having to have all the pieces on hand. But if you also like just digging into a pile of bricks and coming up with something, I would say lean into your community to help you with that. One of the most popular streams that I do is something called Viewer Build Request, where I'll let my chat suggest ideas, I'll throw them into a poll, they vote on it, and then whatever gets voted on, I have to build in the moment with whatever I have on hand. So that's a great way to kind of force creativity. Well, it ends up being a lot of corgis. I've built over 75 corgis now in my training, unfortunately. Yeah, just like leaning into the things that you're into as well. Like, I build a lot of video game related stuff just because that's what I'm passionate about. And I think when you build something that you're really excited about, that's going to help drive your ability to kind of maybe get over like obstacles and challenges with like figuring out building for the first time. I'd also just encourage you, like, start simple. Don't like look at like some of my builds and be like, I want to do that right away. It took me 25 years to get that good. So like, you might want to kind of almost like scale down or like lower the resolution on your builds. Pixel art type building can be a great way to kind of start exploring.
I should dovetail on that a little bit. So after watching a lot of Nick's stream, that's kind of where I got my own mock building. So because I lived in a small apartment, not a lot of brick stash, I use Studio, and if we didn't say it, it's a free software, and it links directly to BrickLink, so it's very easy to buy the pieces directly if you want to. So I started with a lot of pixel art, some mosaic type builds that currently hang behind me in my stream, and then I use the art. The art line has been great for that, because even if you're not going to build what the instructions say to build, the pieces are awesome. So I used some of those art sets to build a giant pride tartan that's like 15,000 studs, but because of the art base plates, I was able to travel with it to several different conventions. But then the other cool thing is some different communities, like we've done some in the brick building community, will do build challenges. So there was one, Nick and Set to Build had done a Switch competition. So you had to build a game, but it had to fit in like the Switch cartridge. So that like kind of pushed me out of my shell a little bit, and I did a Pikmin build, but it was completely digital. And now that Pikmin 4 has come out, I'm like, I need to get those pieces and build it. But it's been fun to, because I've been hesitant to do more 3D building, and so getting to play around in Studio and do a little bit more and then actually build it, and you're like, oh, okay, this did work how I thought it was going to. Like, just gets you a little bit more confident in what you're doing. I think the classic boxes are also another really great place to start, because they're almost always on sale at like Costco or something, and you've got such a nice variety of pieces, but at a low price point. That's another good way to just get your hands in some bricks and have some fun building.
Yeah, and although I use like exclusively like 3 trays of parts, mostly from classic boxes, as my piece selection for Viewer Build Request, to like intentionally show that you don't need a lot to be able to build something. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for your questions. Your answers.
Unfortunately, we only have time for one quick one, as we only have 3 minutes left. So we just take the last question from the left side here. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. But if you have any questions, feel free to approach after the panel, and they'll be available as well.
We'll also often mostly be hanging around the brick building, so you can come down there to ask us questions. We're right next to Artist Alley.
Would you like to ask your last question?
Sure, this is kind of 2 quick questions. One is, what's your favorite set? Not in terms of what the set completed looks like, but in terms of the unique bricks or pieces it brings. And what's your favorite thing to build without instructions in terms of Do you like making buildings or vehicles or mosaics or just personal favorites? Want to go down the line?
I love spaceships. So that's what I like to build. In terms of like things that I've started dabbling more in modeling, and it's been spaceships. That said, in terms of favorite set build, not necessarily for the pieces, but I just really enjoyed all the functionality within it is the NES set. So all the like little mechanical things that you can do with it. Although I feel like
you just stole our set.
Nailed it. I love that set. I adore it. And every time I see someone else building it, I'll just sit captive and watch them experience it because I loved it so much myself.
Yeah, we're gonna take all the good ones by the time we get to
I gotta look up something else now.
I'm spaceships as well. If I'm gonna mock something up, I tend to use extra pieces, and it's just easy. That's why I like it. I like easy. But same line. I really enjoyed the NES, but the question mark block to me was because again the functionality of it was really neat, and I'm a big micro build fan. So using really tiny pieces to represent something larger and make it look like what it's supposed to look like is fascinating to me. So anything that has to do with micro builds, whether it be the Titanic, which sounds bizarre, but there are a lot of micro builds in the Titanic set, or the question mark block, or my kinds of fun sets.
In terms of stuff I like to build, I've thrown it out. I love gaming stuff, so I've done like 1-to-1 scale PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch. In terms of a set, I tried to look at the set, but my internet wasn't working. But I remember there was a set, and I found a green 1x1 brick with one stud on the side, and I actually almost I got teary-eyed because this not brick, as it's known, has been part of the Lego system for a long, long time now. But like green being such a classic and basic color, they had never made that part in that color, and I didn't know they were doing it. So when I started building this one particular set and it showed up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my prayers have been answered after all this years. So I was just really excited about that. And that'll happen a lot, admittedly, where like as a mock builder, I'm always looking for like what pieces are gonna allow me to do new things and get more creative. And so yeah, I just get very, very excited sometimes about some new pieces that come in sets.
I don't do too many mocks, but spaceships and mechs, I think, if I'm randomly just messing around with bricks, that's a go-to thing that I'll end up building. But one of the first sets, I think I had one of those, oh my god, this is incredible moment, like on stream. I remember this vividly, and I think people have clips of it playing all the time, is the ship in a bottle. The ship in a bottle, as simple as it is and how simple as it looks, it's one of those sets where you have it on the shelf, and then people stare at it like, is that Lego? And so, but I remember building that and being like, wow, this is oh my god, Lego's incredible moment, and the person who designed this is an incredible human being. So yeah, I'd probably say that's one of my top sets.
Awesome, last one.
Yeah. More and more stole the thunder with the NES. But, no, it's okay. I probably would say the Hogwarts castle. I was a humongous Harry Potter nerd growing up, and again, since that was the first one that I really got for myself as an adult, outside of all the ugly rocks on the outside, once you get to the castle, it's like lots of fun Easter eggs, lots of fun little mini builds in there, and the stained glass in the Great Hall was also really awesome to get to build. I haven't gotten the light kit for it, but I would love to someday. As I kind of alluded to, I do a lot of mosaics. I also have done some crochet crossover, so I like doing that, but I'm working on getting more into doing kind of some gaming vignettes and micro builds, as well as my next big goal for what I like to build. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you so much for sharing. We are over time, but thank you everyone for attending today's panel. Please check out
Thank you everyone for putting this all together as well. Big shout out to this guy.
And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your con. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Backstreet Boys.